Aloha and welcome. You're tuned into a special deep dive from the Tiki Time Show with Dave and Kelly.
Hey everyone, glad you could join us.
Yeah, great to have you here. Before we jump into the main event today, just a quick heads up.
Oh yeah.
Skipper Mitch's first spotlight is dropping later this week, and it's featuring Big Toe.
Ah, nice. Big Toe. That'll be fantastic. Definitely something to look forward to.
For sure. Keep an eye out for that one.
Okay, but right now we're going to dive deep into something pretty interesting, especially if you love that whole retro world. Specifically Tiki.
Right, we've got this situation, a kind of clash of the titans, maybe?
Sort of. Two really big events happening at the exact same time. April 24th to 27th, 2025.
We're talking Arizona Tiki Oasis versus Viva Las Vegas Rockabilly weekend.
Exactly. Now, you might hear Viva Las Vegas and think, well, Rockabilly, not necessarily Tiki, right?
Right, doesn't scream Tiki immediately.
But there's definitely a connection there, a shared love for vintage style that we want to explore. The goal here is really to help you figure out which one might be, your perfect getaway.
Okay, let's do it. Let's break them down and see what makes each one tick. Maybe help you choose if you're stuck between the two. We'll kick things off with Arizona Tiki Oasis.
All right, AZTO.
So picture this, Scottsdale, Arizona. You're at the Hotel Valley Ho, which is this amazing historic spot.
It really is super stylish.
And the whole atmosphere is like super relaxed, tropical, obviously, but mixed with that cool mid-century modern design.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, right? A desert resort, but it feels like this chic island escape.
Yeah, that contrast is part of the charm, I think. And Arizona Tiki Oasis, they really curate the whole thing. It's very deliberate.
Oh, so?
Well, it's not just about, grabbing a Mai Tai by the pool, though you can definitely do that. It's deeply tied into that whole mid-century aesthetic, the design, the architecture.
The Hotel Valley Ho itself is a big part of it then.
Absolutely. It's like a living piece of that design history. It just fits the theme perfectly. It's immersive.
Makes sense. And the activities seem to really lean into that. Okay, obviously the tropical cocktails, gotta have those. Top mixologists doing their thing.
Essential for Tiki.
But then there's a big emphasis on just lounging by the pool.
Yeah.
Which, Arizona Sunshine sounds pretty good.
Hard to argue with that.
But it's not just lounging. They have art shows.
Yeah.
Focusing on that Tiki and mid-century stuff. And seminars, too, about mid-century design.
Yeah, actual talks and discussions, so you can learn something, too, which is cool. Adds a bit of depth.
And then they've got these marketplaces, outdoor ones, and even after-hours ones.
Mm-hmm.
Finding cool vintage stuff, or art, I guess.
Exactly. Collectibles, art, clothing, that kind of thing.
Plus evening events and, get this, private suite soirees. Sounds kind of exclusive.
It does. It feels a bit more, maybe, sophisticated or intimate, perhaps. A curated Tiki experience.
Yeah, intimate feels right. So who goes to this? Who's the typical attendee?
Well, based on the vibe, you're probably looking at serious Tiki culture fans, obviously.
Wow.
People who really appreciate mid-century design, cocktail aficionados for sure, and art collectors too.
Okay. And there's a charity angle too, right?
Yeah, it benefits the Arizona Preservation Foundation. So there's this connection to, appreciating and saving historical places, which ties back into the whole vibe with Hotel Valley Ho.
Nice touch. Okay, practical stuff. Tickets for 2025. The resort pass is like $159 to $169, and there's a deluxe pass for $320. And, important note, it's 21 and over only.
Good to know. 21 plus.
And some unique things they really push are like access to private resort spaces, those suite parties you mentioned.
Yeah, that sounds unique. Not your standard event hall setup.
And rooftop parties too. Plus, like you said, knowing your ticket helps support historic preservation.
Right. So summing up Arizona Tiki Oasis, it feels like an immersive, kind of intimate deep dive into Tiki and mid-century culture, all within this really cool resort setting.
Okay, got it. Now let's shift gears completely. Big shift.
Huge shift. We're heading to Vegas, baby. Viva Las Vegas Rockabilly weekend. Same dates, remember? April 24th to 27th, 2025.
And this was at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. Very different location, very different. Well, everything probably.
Totally different atmosphere. Think high energy, like really high. It's a massive vintage party, basically. Draws a huge international crowd.
So, okay, the theme here is clearly rockabilly music, that whole 1950s fashion look, and car culture, big-time car culture.
Absolutely central. That's the core.
But you mentioned a connection to Tiki earlier. How do they overlap in your view?
Well, I think both subcultures, Tiki and Rockabilly, they share this this deep appreciation for kind of romanticized past, you know?
Yeah.
For bold styles, maybe a bit of rebellion, escapism.
Okay, I see that. Different aesthetics, but a similar spirit maybe.
Exactly. That core love of retro, of doing things with style, having a good time. Viva Las Vegas definitely celebrates that broader vintage enthusiasm that a lot of Tiki fans also share, even if the main focus is rockabilly.
Right. It sounds like nonstop 1950s overload in a good way.
Oh yeah, the scale is just huge. They boast over 100 bands.
Andre, wow.
And like 20 plus DJs. So music is absolutely front and center, nonstop.
Okay, what else?
You've got really popular burlesque shows, which, you know, sometimes have that theatrical, kind of exotic flair you also see in Tiki performances.
Interesting parallel.
Then there's the car show. It's massive. Hundreds and hundreds of vintage cars. It's a spectacle, serious.
Mid-century design on wheels, basically.
Pretty much. Plus, pinup contests, you know, celebrating that classic 1950s glamour, vintage fashion shows. Actually seeing the styles worn.
They mentioned a specific one, didn't they? Glamorama.
That's the one, Glamorama Fashion Show. Sounds like a highlight for fashion lovers.
What else is packed in there?
Pool parties, but with a retro soundtrack, obviously. Dance workshops so you can learn to swing dance or jive.
Gotta look the part and move the part.
Right. Loads of vendors selling vintage everything. And even a tattoo lounge.
Wow, okay, so they cover all the bases for that lifestyle. It really does sound like a full-on time machine party. High octane, like you said.
It really is. So the crowd reflects that. You get the hardcore rockabilly fans, of course. The vintage car lovers are huge there.
Dancers?
Oh yeah, lots of dancers. People who are passionate about retro fashion, mainly 50s, but you see other vintage styles too. And like we said, a big international crowd comes in for it.
So even if you're a Tiki fan, if you appreciate that whole broader vintage scene, the cars, the fashion, the energy, you might still find your crowd there.
Absolutely. There's overlap in the appreciation for that retro aesthetic, even if the specific focus is different.
Okay, costs for Viva. The main pass, the high roller 4-day pass, is around $220 to $250 for 2025.
Pretty reasonable for 4 days of nonstop entertainment, honestly.
And if you just want to see those amazing cars, you can get a car show only pass for about $45 to $64.
Good option if cars are your main thing.
Key takeaways for Viva. It's huge. Like the biggest rockabilly event in the world, that international crowd is a big feature. And that car show is legendary.
Yeah. So summarizing Viva Las Vegas, it's this massive, high-energy festival focused on rockabilly music and 1950s culture, but with this vibrant celebration of all things retro that could definitely appeal to Tiki fans too.
Okay, so we've painted two pretty different pictures happening on the exact same weekend.
You're right. April 24th, 27th, 2025. A tough choice for some.
So let's bring it back to you, the listener. If you're thinking about that weekend, trying to decide what's the key question you need to ask yourself?
I think it's, what kind of retro experience are you really looking for? Are you after that more relaxed, stylish Tiki and mid-century deep dive cocktails design, maybe a more intimate feel?
That's Arizona Tiki Oasis.
Right. Or are you drawn to the buzz, the high energy, the live rockabilly music absolutely everywhere, the 1950s fashion, the cars, the huge crowds, the nonstop party?
Which is Viva Las Vegas. It really is about your personal flavor of retro, isn't it?
Totally. Oasis feels very specific, very curated. Viva is this giant, sprawling celebration that catches a lot of different vintage fans in its net.
Scale is a huge difference too. Intimate resort versus massive hotel casino takeover.
Definitely. And the musical focus obviously is night and day, Tiki exotica and related sounds versus pure rockabilly and roots music.
The charitable aspect is different too. That matters to you. Preservation Foundation versus Viva doesn't highlight a specific charity in the same way.
Good point. So maybe look at the specific activities again. Are you more excited by the idea of cocktail seminars and art shows?
Or our massive car shows and learning to jive more your speed?
It really helps to picture yourself in each environment, I think.
So if you want to dig even deeper, get the band lineups for Viva or see the exact seminar schedule for Oasis.
Yeah, you definitely need to check out their official websites. All the nitty-gritty details will be there. That's the best way to make the final call.
We'll make sure those links are easy for you to find.
And hey, for more conversations like this, exploring all sorts of cool pop culture and retro stuff,
you should definitely subscribe to the Tiki Time Show. We're on YouTube and Instagram. Just search for @Tiki Time Show.
Yeah, come hang out with us there. We've always got something interesting brewing.
Absolutely. So final thought then. Whether your perfect escape involves, I don't know, a carefully crafted Mai Tai by a gorgeous pool surrounded by Eames chairs.
Or feeling the rumble of a vintage V8 engine while rocking out to a blistering guitar solo.
Exploring these two events, even just talking about them, really shows how vibrant and diverse the whole world of retro appreciation is. There's something for everyone.
Well said. It's a great time to be into this stuff.
It really is. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Yeah, thanks for listening.